And joining us today on our Artist Spotlight here at WTMY, great pleasure to welcome one of the great jazz musicians, one of the young great jazz musicians, I should say. She specializes in the piano, and especially the form of piano called stride and boogie-woogie. We're joined today by Stephanie Trick on the telephone. And Stephanie, good to have a chance to chat with you. I've seen a lot of your music on YouTube. You're doing quite well up there.
Oh, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
I know we chatted a little bit through the email, and I saw on your website a good mutual friend of both of ours, Dick Hyman, highly recommended you. So I'm glad we had a chance to chat, and I'm going to let him know that we talked to you.
Oh, great. I am such an admirer of Dick Hyman.
Did you ever have a chance to talk to him in person?
Yes, actually. I've met him on several occasions at the Arbor's Jazz Party when they were having that in Clearwater Beach. And then I had the opportunity, the honor to play with him in San Francisco last summer. Oh, great. Yeah, I know he's no secret, he's in his 80s, but he still travels around, sounds as good as ever, and got a lot of energy. So that's something to look forward to. Yes. Yes.
Now, of course, he specializes in all types of jazz piano as well, and it's kind of unusual, I would think, for a young person today to kind of get into that type of piano playing. I know you went to, was it St. Louis University to study music?
I actually went to Chicago, not too far
okay.
from my hometown of St. Louis, but I just did liberal arts there and had always done music since I was 5, and so I just kept studying it privately.
Was jazz kind of an interest for you right away? I know most people, when they start piano, they start with the classical music. But how did you get into jazz?
Yeah, that's right. I did start classically, and then my piano teacher said that I should learn some ragtime since I'm from St. Louis, so I learned some Scott Joplin and some of the classic ragtime composition. And then at a certain point, she pulled out this folio and said, "Why don't you try this?" And it was James P. Johnson's Carolina Shout. And from that moment on, I was kind of hooked. And so I slowly started learning about what was stride piano, what role it played in the history of jazz piano, and then I got into playing, more of the other types of early jazz.
It really was the birth of jazz, that type of piano. I guess ragtime, like you said, was with the late 1800s, 1890s, something like that, when that started, right? Was that the beginning of it?
Yes.
And then it turned into what was called stride piano. Boogie-woogie came, I guess, a little bit later on, maybe the 20s and 30s. We've had a chance not only to talk to Dick Hyman, but Judy Carmichael, too. I don't know if you had a chance to talk to her. She's one of the great masters of the stride piano.
Oh, yes, she's fabulous. I have not had the chance to meet her yet, though, but I really do enjoy her radio show and have, listened to her play, and so she's great.
Talk a little bit about the style of piano, of stride. I've always enjoyed watching folks like you play it. It's a very energetic style of piano, and you got to really have good marksmanship with your left hand there. You're really kind of moving around the keyboard a lot, aren't you?
I guess marksmanship is a good way of putting it. I never heard that before. Yes, it does require some level of technical competence to play stride piano. These pianists up in Harlem in the teens, 20s, and 30s took the ragtime style left hand, which is alternating between a bass and a chord in the middle of the keyboard, and this creates kind of a full sound. And they took it to the next level. They added swing, improvisation, and technical virtuosity to it, and so it just became this really great music that doesn't need any other instrument. The pianist is self-sufficient with the rhythm in the left hand and then can play the melody in the right. And the main practitioners of this style were James P. Johnson, who is kind of known as the father of this genre and this idiom, Thomas Fats Waller, and Willie the Lion Smith.
Fats Waller, known for what Ain't Misbehavin', that great show that was on Broadway many years ago.
Yeah,
but I guess he's probably the most famous one. You mentioned Willie the Lion Smith. All those guys are real characters too. They either wore a hat or smoked a cigar or wore the vest. I mean, they really they really put on a show. Those guys, didn't they?
Oh yes, it was all about the show for them.
Talk a little bit again. You talk about the stride piano style. You're almost accompanying yourself, but did that take a while to kind of get that down? I don't play the piano much. I've fooled around with it a little bit. I can't imagine how you do that. The left hand going one way and the right hand doing a different thing. It's got to be hard to get it to do that.
Well, I never really thought about it being hard. It just was something that I liked the sound of, so I kept working at it. I think that the hardest thing about playing stride is to get the right feel, because it doesn't sound like entirely like the swing of the 50s and 60s or, bop or anything. It's a different type of swing, and so you really have to immerse yourself in the recordings and a lot of times copy exactly what the great masters of the 20s and 30s were doing before you can feel comfortable at just playing it freely on your own. I would say that, it takes hours and hours to get the left hand pretty accurate, but the feel is like even more important than that, and that's what really takes a lot of work and dedication, I think.
Now, did you learn it from listening, or did you have sheet music? I've watched some of your videos, and you have no music in front of you, so you either memorize it or you just kind of know it by ear, don't you?
Yeah, well, I had started learning the first few pieces from the sheet music, and then when I met stride pianists like this French pianist Louis Mazetier and Italian pianist Rossano Sportiello, and Dick Hyman as well, they all said you need to learn it from the recordings. and like get every nuance from the recordings that you can, and throw away the sheet music, at least for a while, because you don't really get the feel from reading the sheet music. So that's what I did at the beginning.
So if you listen to a recording, can you pretty much then sit down and do it by ear at that point? I guess that helps. Then you have the music later.
Well, sometimes it's a little bit more painstaking and tedious. Like you listen to it a bunch of times, just a few seconds at a time, and sometimes it's like that if you really want to get every detail, or that's how I do it. And other times if you just want to sort of play along with the recording, maybe a few ideas you catch, but it just depends how much detail you want to get.
Song with Stephanie Trick, a jazz pianist. Talk about your latest recording.
Well, I have kind of a fun project that I most recently worked on with the singer and lyricist Lorraine Feather, and she has chosen the task of writing lyrics to these really virtuosic, fast stride pieces. And so we did a project, and we called it Nouveau Stride, and our CD is called 14, and we put 14 stride from, the 30s, and also some more contemporary stride pieces and a boogie-woogie on it, and we really had fun doing it.
Oh, great. And all your recordings available on your website, right? Give out your website.
That's right, yes, at stephanietrick.com.
And you mentioned Nouveau Stride. Are there, or do people still write new compositions for stride and boogie-woogie, or are they all kind of variations on older ones?
Yeah, no, people are still definitely writing these pieces. Dick Hyman has written some excellent stride pieces that I actually play often in concert. And these European pianists like Bert Latsky and Louis Mazetier, they've written some really nice pieces for the idiom. And one of my boogie-woogie favorites, still living today, is Carl Sonny Leyland, originally from England, and then now he lives in California. He has written some really interesting boogie-woogie tunes that are a little bit different from the originals, but still definitely influenced by the original three boogie-woogie pianists and lots of others. So I like his work as well.
Now you travel around. You do some touring. I checked your website, and you do a lot of touring around the country, right? Different jazz festivals, that kind of thing?
Yeah, around the country and in Europe, and so keeps me pretty busy and always with a suitcase open on the floor.
And you also, you said one of the songs that we're going to be playing as well, your husband is also a piano player. I saw one of the videos you played a song, a four-hand song with him. So that must be kind of fun.
Yes. Oh, my gosh, we have so much fun. We met 6 years ago at a stride piano festival in Switzerland, and a few years later, we decided to try playing together because we kept running into each other. And so we came up with, we initially thought we would play on two pianos, and so but we would never have two pianos to practice on. So we're always practicing on one piano. And then after a while, we thought we could come up with arrangements on one piano, and then it'd be much easier to take this project on the road. So we started playing four hands on one piano, and we've been doing that for the last 3 years, and it's really fun to be creative and try to come up with interesting ways of putting the four hands on the piano. There are lots of combinations, as we've discovered.
Keeps the marriage together. Keep it strong, too, right?
Exactly.
Well, I saw one of the videos that you and your husband did. It's a great arrangement. He plays some, you play some, and then you kind of cross over hands. It's a lot of fun to watch.
Thank you. Yeah, we have a lot of fun doing it.
His name is Paolo. Give the last name. I don't want to mispronounce it. What's his last name?
Oh, yes. His name is Paolo Alderighi.
Okay, I didn't want to say it wrong, so you said it right. Very good. You know it better than I do. Well, Stephanie, it's a pleasure to talk to you for a couple of minutes. I'm glad we could do this for WTMY's Artist Spotlight. And again, give out your website, and people get a hold of your recordings there, and your schedule as well, right?
Yes, yeah. On my website, stephanietrick.com, there's the schedule and how to get CDs and everything.
And you'll be traveling around. Hopefully you come down our way in Florida sometime. Please let us know, and love to have you in studio and talk to you again.
Oh, that would be great, Doug. It has been a pleasure to talk to you.
Great. Thank you, Stephanie. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.
Writing a song about stride piano isn't all that easy to do. You gotta dive in. Where to begin? The mere idea might frighten you. Writing lyrics to stride music, you're in trouble right away. It's fast and busy, it'll make you dizzy, spitting out what you need to say. But I'm smitten with stride piano. I believe I'll give it a go. Start with something informational, educational, like so. The term stride piano came from the way in which the pianist's left hand would stride up and down the keyboard. It was hot, took some chops, whole new sound. Granny, get your little chin off the ground, let's all jive. The record company shied away from early jazz. They called it race music. Soon they caved, madly raved. With the rest, they'd invest in a few young lions, make the whole world wise about the key guys were pouring on the heat. Nowadays, you got a few girls pouring on the heat. Well, not that many. Stephanie, how many would you say? Stephanie? She's busy. I'll ask her later. The Viper's drag, Tiger rag, Sister Kate. Tunes that got you going out of the gate, no debate. There was living lightning in the dazzling runs of all the young guns were born on the heat. Writing a song about stride piano isn't really a breeze to do, slow going, but you know what? Soon I had a thought or two. Maybe talk about how you do it, starting out with the lower C. Up an octave C, E, G, then the G to the right of the initial C. C, C, E, G, pinky on the low G, then C. 4, B, repeat, baby, home free. Soon you'll try picking up some speed. The neighbors may pound until their knuckles bleed. They'll holler, please stop that infernal racket as you miss the notes time after time. Hey, I'm learning, man. Is that such a crime? Now come on, fingers, do your stuff. Get it moving, although it's punishingly tough. You're improving slowly, slowly. Then late one night you get it right. It comes together and suddenly you're all dun 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 now you know you can play stride, even though you're about to die. And my song is about you and the torture you went through. Head on down to the piano bar, start off with all the things you are. Then little ditty by James P. Show 'em you can pour on the heat. You're steaming, every barfly screaming. You're a virtuoso. In here the whole darn world will know so. That's my song about stride piano, part 1, the basics, part 2, the crucible, part 3, the victory. Might put a few words on the offbeats just to show I can, and then I'll bring it every time I sing it. Bring it home, 4, B, repeat. Show 'em you can pour on the heat.